Hi guys, it is July 16th, about 8:30 a.m. New York time. And what I'm going to do today is I want to give you some more highlights of my new adaptive trading technology program. Now please keep in mind, I've said this before, but I'm only showing one small piece of this. Okay, there's other indicators and there's all kinds of strategies that I employ. So it's never in trading one magic tool. But what I want to do today is show you this indicator. I call it market tops and bottoms, and it's adaptive. And what I mean by that is, and for this example, I'm using the Nasdaq 100, the 1 minute. So this shows you can use this to day trade, and the Nasdaq can be a great market to trade because it's got so much volatility. Also, the Nasdaq keeps making new highs in the stock market. It's the absolute leader right now. So there's plenty of activity for those of you who like to trade it. So with that said, if you'll notice right now, this is a 1 minute chart. We've been basically going sideways. So what happens is that means the range is getting smaller and you can see it by these bands. Okay, but when the market starts to kind of increase its range, that's when the bands get bigger. And this is important because you have to understand that oscillators, things like the stochastics RSI, or stochastics or the RSI, and many, many other indicators are based on a fixed range of 0 to 100. So they only work good when you're in a range bound market. But the minute you break out of that range, they don't work. Now the opposite is true. Trend following indicators like moving averages and so forth, they only work once you're in a proven trend. Until then, they get whipped all over the place. They don't work at all. Okay, so very misleading. So this adapts, and that's why we're able to get signals with this when we're getting a trend. Also, when out of nowhere, we'll get signals like this. When it seems like the market's falling apart, we'll get a signal like that. Okay. And I'll just kind of scroll back here. You can see on the 1 minute we don't have anything going on yet. And the reason is that it hasn't become overbought or oversold on this 1 minute time frame. But these are some big moves on the 1 minute. It doesn't catch everything on one time frame. Okay. And just to remind you, just because I have an arrow doesn't mean I get filled. In other words, this one wouldn't have got filled. Okay. And I'll just switch to a 5 minute time frame just to take a quick peek. You'll see different trades. And every once in a while you're going to catch a monster move, huge moves. And the thing I want to remind you of is that this tool is designed to get you more trades, more accurate trades, and to grab a piece of trades that you probably would have missed using conventional strategies. So I will never say, hey, look at this huge down move. You would have got it all. Okay, now, full disclosure, when you have a really, really fast move like this where it keeps making, one red bar after the other, it's much easier to get a big piece of that, like say 70, 80, 90%, just by even running the trailing stop over the top of the previous bar. Okay, but that's an exception. I mean, you can see it here. It does happen again, but it doesn't always happen. In other words, sometimes if you get a situation like this long signal, you squash that together, you did get a big run up, but eventually it probably gives back about 40%. Okay, so and other times you get into trades. Let me see if I can find a quick example. Something like this long signal, it backed, it went up a few bars, right? And these are actually big moves, believe it or not, even on the 5 minute. But it backed up, but then it went really high again. For some reason the Nasdaq just moves. You can see that more often than not, at least on this 5 minute chart, when they just go very well most of the time. All right. Anyway, you get the point. So what I'm going to do is throughout the day, I'm going to just kind of, I want to jump in and show you what things look like as the market is trading. Okay, because it's one thing to show you after the fact, but I want to show you, say, hey, here's what I'm looking at, possible signal happening. And once again, I'm not in overbought or oversold territory on the 1 minute, so I couldn't do anything. 5 minute, same thing. I'm kind of in this range bound, and it's reflected in the price. This is the times you want to stay away. So what the software does, it helps to take a lot of that guessing out of the equation. All right. If I went to a 15 minute, let's see what happens. Same thing. We're just kind of in no man's land right now, so we don't do anything. Anyway, guys, that's it for the moment. I will keep adding these examples as they go through. Okay, let's take a look at the pound US dollar. This is kind of a day trading time frame, scalping. And you can see on the 5 minute we have lots and lots of activity. This was a recent trade that happened maybe a little more than an hour, something like that ago, hour and a half. Short trades up here, one to the upside, one to the downside. Sometimes you get these type of trades where basically you get a scratch, or maybe you lose 2, 3, 4, 5 pips, okay? But obviously, it goes without saying, faster the time frame, the more signals, so you can trade yourself silly if you want, okay? If you go just scrolling through real quick, you can see some of the trades. And just as a reminder, once again, just because there's an arrow doesn't mean this was a valid signal. There's other things that we look at just to double check, okay? And just, full disclosure, even with the double checking, you're going to have some losses here and there. It's part of trading, okay? But more often than not, you're going to be on the right side of a trade and find that you don't kind of just get the market slammed against you without, and you're wondering what the heck happened, all right? Just show you a few more here. And if we say we flip to the 15 minute, see the 15 caught a beautiful long short to the, but nothing, it didn't catch his bottom here, right? Didn't catch any of this. All right. Would have got filled over in this area, nice short. But big initial drop, but then there was a lot of choppiness on the way down, right? And every once in a while, you just get lucky where the trade just goes your way real quick. Let's switch to the 1 hour for the heck of it. Once again, less signals, but they're going to tend to be bigger moves once they get moving, right? And you'll notice sometimes the signal can be a few bars early, but it nails the direction. That's why I have safeguards in place. I want to see the market kind of, see certain patterns on other indicators that are going to provide. You're going to have a checklist as well. And then this is the realities of trading. I'll say this 100 times more. You don't know what's going to happen. In other words, this thing got filled very quickly. It went down 46 pips, but all of a sudden it goes back to where you got in, right? But then eventually, if we were to go, later on, it dropped 259 pips from top to bottom. Now if I mark that, right, if say you go to the 4 hour, you're going to cut out a lot of that noise because the short was up in here. Okay, and then say you go to daily, right? All that whole move down was just like three or four down days, right? But when you get in on the 1 hour, let me just get back to that a second. You're going to have a lot of kind of, for lack of a better term, nail biting. You know, you're going to think, oh, this is amazing. I'm up 80 pips. All of a sudden, you're up 50. You know, then you're up 70. Now you're up 60, and so forth. So how you play this money management wise is going to ultimately decide on how much you get out of this. And no, I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did. Okay, I will show you multiple, I believe 4 or 5 ways to get out of these trades, and you can pick the one that best suits the amount of time you can spend at your computer. Also, best suits your personality. Okay, some things click better for some people versus another. That's why I'm going to give you multiple ways to do things, because I don't believe one size fits all in trading. So anyway, that's it for this particular segment. I just want to do this quick follow-up. Not long ago, I showed you that trade, excuse me, that trade we had to the long side in the British pound. So you can see that maybe 5-6 bars ago, we had a sell signal up here. Okay. Anyway, we'll see how that plays out later on. Now, of course, if you were to go like, say, the 15-minute, there was no signal yet because it's going to take more. But notice down here, we have gone above these bands here. Remember, we were in a bit of a kind of a narrowing range, but as it breaks through to the upside, it's going to start to be oversold on this time frame. So anyway, that's it. We'll check in a little bit later on to see how this particular short side trade played out. I just want to do a quick update. Earlier this morning, I showed where there's on the 5-minute chart on the pound US dollar, there was a short in this area. It went down a little bit, but then it reversed. So that was a situation you would have got break even. You shouldn't have got stopped out. Okay, I like to move my stops very quickly, but even if you did, eventually you did catch it going the other way on the 15-minute. All right. And remember, as I've said a bunch of times, just because you see the arrow, that's not where you're short. A few things have to happen in between. Then it eventually caught this really like a big move down. All right, that's about 50 pips, 50, 60 pips down. Caught this big move off the bottom there. Let's switch to something else. Let's take a peek at gold, because I know a lot of people like to trade that. There hasn't been any trades, well, since the 13th. It caught this short down here. And basically the market went down about, whatever that is, $16 from there. Of course, that was a tough run, because when you get in, you're going to have it go all the way back to where you got in. So you might have got out at scratch. I will also teach you how to re-enter, because sometimes this happens. You just get whipped out one time, or shaken out, I should say. You had a long up there. You had a short that went down a little bit, but then eventually reversed. So that's just going to be a kind of scratch type of trade. So anyway, that's it. Let me go to the pull up the view the market watch. I want to go back to the NASDAQ index, because I was showing that one earlier today, see what we could have come up with. So we finally caught this big drop down here. This one didn't go up. This was on a 30-minute, which I wouldn't be trading off of, so let's not in the NASDAQ anyway, unless I'm doing something like option type trading, which is a whole other ball game. A lot of noise in the 5-minute. So I want to point this out. You can see that we had an arrow here. A lot of chop to eventually get the market to go up. This is realities of trading. This was better when we had this trade off the bottom here. We wouldn't have been filled on this arrow over here, okay? This is another one where we wouldn't have got filled till over here, but still this was a tough run. But keep in mind that these are actually quite profitable moves. within 10-15 minutes on this NQ. I'll even go to a 1 minute. And actually I prefer, like if I'm going to trade something like this, use more like say a 2 or 3 minute chart. It's kind of like the 1's too fast and the 5 is too slow, but they don't have that on standard MetaTrader platforms. So here's the 1 minute though. We caught some nice moves off of the scalping type moves. And scalping moves on the Nasdaq can be very big. Also keep in mind that this could be any index, the Dow index, the DAX, the FTSE, doesn't matter, because all those markets pretty much track the same. And actually, let's do that. Let's see where the oh, here we go. And it could be like the Asian index, like the Nikkei, Hang Seng index, the French index. Let's take a look at that. Oh no, let's do the FTSE, or actually the DAX, sorry, because that can be really fun. That can be a fast-moving market. So that was the 1 minute. You can see there can be a lot of noise at times. But these moves, all you got to do is catch one move. It can really make your day or make your week even, if you can ride that thing. 1 minute. Let's just switch to a 5 minute. Cut out a bit of that noise. I mean, see, this is a mess here. Really, really bad. And you can see what happens though when you start getting this choppy range. The market top and bottom indicators kind of staying within that sort of channel, so it's not quite getting overbought or oversold like say down here to generate a signal. So anyway, plenty of signals. So that's it. I'm going to pause it here again, and I'm going to do a few more updates throughout the day and night.